Hey, sports fans, how you doing? This is Phil Fiumano, and I'm here with one-on-one interview with Brian Cataquet. How you doing, Brian?
Hello, Phil. Nice
Cool.
to be here.
I'm a big Met fan. Been a Met fan since 1969, and I know you're a Met fan too and a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan too. But also, right behind us, right here, we have a couple of photographs of the new Citi Field at Shea Stadium, where they're building it in the back. And we also have the Yankee Stadium. I took these two photographs, to remember that when they were building the stadium. And they're both going to be opened next year. We got two new stadiums in New York City being built. How do you feel about that?
I'm a purist. I hate to see the stadiums go down.
Sure. A lot of history.
Especially I'm a Met fan, and I've been going to Shea Stadium since the early
But
'80s.
It's about time we needed new stadiums.
Yeah.
Shea's very old, from 1962.
Yeah, Shea could be redone, and it is kind of old.
And Yankee Stadium was in good condition because they had rebuilt it before, but it's good to have something new. And other cities in the United States all have brand new ballparks. With the
new Yankee stadiums, they make the new stadium. They're making it as the 1920s,
sure,
1920 stadium. Yeah, the look. So it's going to look very historic.
Sure, and Citi Field is made to look like Ebbets Field a little bit.
Yes,
which is cool.
Yes.
Bring back the nostalgia of those days.
Yes, but I'm a purist like you, Phil. I hate to see the stadiums go down, but I guess you got to move on, right? You got to move on with the times.
You need things.
You need renovation, yeah. Renovation.
All right, well, there's an expression in the card hobby business, the big three. Explain to me what's the big three. Go ahead.
The big three is an expression used to signify the three most significant baseball cards in the hobby. Number one would be the Honus Wagner T206 tobacco card. T206 is the designated number, the catalog number that was given by the founder of this hobby named Jefferson Burdick in the 1950s. So Honus Wagner's the number one card. Like I said before, it's a $2.8 million card, the most expensive card, the Mona Lisa card of the hobby. The second card from the same set, the same series, also the T206 series, which looks like this. This is a sample card. You have Hall of Famer Eddie Plank. Now, the story behind the Eddie Plank card, that's a very valuable card. Only, I would say, about 90 are known in the world. While they were producing the card back then in 1909, the printing plate supposedly cracked on the card. So once it cracked, there was only a limited amount of planks to survive. So that's card number two as far as significance. And number three, we have the 1933 Gaudy Napoleon LaJoie card. On my website, I have one in my personal collection. The story behind the Gaudy LaJoie card is that 1933, first year of gum cards, the major gum set. For some reason, the Gaudy Gum Company of Boston, Massachusetts, forgot to include in the set card number 106 for some reason. They made an error in printing all the cards. So collectors were trying to complete their Gaudy card set. There's 240 cards and couldn't find card number 106. There's 240 cards to the set. Babe Ruth's in the set. And they couldn't find 106. So
and that had to have been a mistake because the player wasn't a great player or anything.
Well, he was popular at the time.
Right.
He was popular at the time. So
it wasn't like a Babe Ruth.
Wasn't a Babe Ruth.
Then you could say maybe that happened on purpose, but for a guy, it was an honest mistake.
It was a mistake by the company, by the gum company.
But isn't that funny how that happens? It's a mistake, and it's that's why it's so valuable. That's why it's so popular.
Yes.
And it streams. It has that.
Yes, and they're collectors that's one aspect of the field. They're collectors that collect error cards through Topps and through the card history. There's a lot of error cards. There are collectors that collect error cards. But the Gaudy LaJoie. Now, what happened was the consumers complained they were trying to complete the set. Wrote a letter to Gaudy. And Gaudy produced 500 Napoleon LaJoie cards in sheets, and then they only sent out the LaJoie card to the customers that complained.
Oh, okay.
So I would say 100
so there's a real
shortage. I would say about 100 to 120 LaJoie cards are known, and I have one in my personal collection on my website.
Cool. All right, so but I heard there's a lot of celebrities that love collecting. Do you know about that? Is this true?
Yes.
Talk a little about that.
Yes. Billy Crystal he collects Yankee. He's a big Yankee fan.
Yeah.
About 8 years ago, he was at the Sotheby's auction. I was at that auction. I think he spent like over $100,000 for a Mickey Mantle glove. That's probably nothing to Billy Crystal. But he collects Yankee memorabilia. Right. Charlie Sheen is a very big memorabilia collector. He recently auctioned off his personal collection to an auction company, and he's been dealing with them for a while. So you have Charlie Sheen, Billy Crystal, Penny Marshall, who I met. I went to the National Convention in California, and I actually bought Penny Marshall an ice cream. We were walking around the convention. She was actually giving me tips on autographed jerseys. She's got an extensive memorabilia collection. She also produced, I think it was the League of Her Own. What was the movie?
With Madonna.
Madonna, yeah. So she's a big baseball memorabilia collection. She's
got Davis and a couple other people were in the movie.
And she's got one of the best memorabilia collections. And Leonardo DiCaprio, I heard, used to collect cards. I think he used to like the 1960 cards. Also, there's quite a few.
The older cards, like from the 60s and the 50s, and even the 70s. As much as, it's like kind of like too soon for the 80s and 90s, but 10, 20 years from now they are. The 80s, they were mass produced. The 80s and 90s, because of technology, billions of cards were made, and that's why they're not as valuable. Right. The old cards, they didn't have access to technology, so they were printed in limited amount. Millions as compared to billions. Right. 80s and 90s into the 2000s, they just mass produced them with the machines. That's why they will never be as valuable. And they don't hold a historic significance. Right. That's why I always fell in love with the old cards. It's when I hold a card from 1910, I'm holding history. That's right.
I'm holding history. Right. And
somebody who's not living anymore had that card in their hand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They actually owned that card, and they
that's
valued it. Right?
They valued it, and and plus it's rare. There's limited amounts made. I was always fascinated as a kid to own Ty Cobb and to hold a card from 1910.
Like a piece of furniture, an antique that's been in somebody's house.
Yes.
Since back in the day of, let's say, George Washington or Thomas Jefferson.
Exactly.
Mean, there's a lot of historic.
And then how popular the game is. I mean, baseball, it's part of this culture. You turn the TV on, it's politics.
I love baseball.
And baseball. It's always been. Right. It's also the hobby's also
pastime, our national pastime.
National pastime. And also, collectors find it relaxing to collect cards after a stressful day of work. That collectors that don't do this for a living. I do this for a living.
Stamp collecting. Remember, they used
stamp
to
collecting
collect
was big,
stamps
and
coins
and coins. But baseball,
even the stamps. Remember, they had those green stamps.
Stamps. They had the World War II. They had the plain stamps. Even in the 1960s, you would go to gasoline stations. Right. They would give you sheets of American oil, American oil stamps.
Yeah. What kind of does that only still is Hess. They give out those little trucks and stuff, a collectible truck. I would love to see more of that. You know what I mean? It brings back the day, when people used to get into things and kind of
we're missing
more
that
of
now.
America. Yeah, it was more like America. Like you
Americana.
go to Hess and you buy the truck. Or you go to a store and they give you a gift or something, right?
It was more Americana.
And you use it and you save it as a collectible.
Yeah, I mean, now everyone's so occupied with the internet and video games, and kids are, you're right. I mean, collecting is not as big as it was when we were kids, and even
I used to collect everything,
marbles and stuff that when our parents.
Sure. Yeah.
Marbles.
We should bring that back, I think.